Yes, for a few thousand people on that Carnival cruise ship, it was a pretty crappy situation, pun intended. For days, those on board wondered if their food and water were safe to drink or if they'd been contaminated by sewage. Some reports even compared the ship's conditions to that of the Superdome during Katrina, and CNN wasted no time reminding us again and again just how bad those few thousand people had it on the poop ship. And yet, rarely is attention given to the 2.6 billion people around the world who live every day in conditions similar to the poop ship without access to adequate sanitation. Another thing that hasn't been mentioned much about the poop ship is that Carnival Cruise Lines isn't paying their fair share of taxes. In fact, over the last 5 years, the company has posted more than $11 billion in profits, yet only paid an effective tax rate of 1.1%. So might the poop cruise disaster renew debate about world poverty and access to sanitary food and water? Might it also remind us that corporations are not paying their fair share in taxes? Let's ask my next guest, Neal Asbury, entrepreneur and host of Truth for America radio talk show and author of the book Conscientious Equity. Neal, welcome back.
Hey, Tom, thanks for having me.
Now that Americans have seen, unsanitary conditions and how at least Americans freak out when exposed to them, do you think that there might be much dialogue in this country about the over 2, almost 3 billion people who literally live with these kind of conditions every day around the world?
Well, Tom, I agree. I mean, we got to do something about it. And in fact, my book, Conscientious Equity, thanks for the plug there, addresses that. What do we do about world poverty? Well, we got to create economic activity to where we can lift these people up together with our unemployed and underemployed. And there's a way to do that. I mean, we got to free the entrepreneurial spirit of the world. I mean, that's where we have to start. And to do that, we have to get sensible tax policies that you mentioned earlier about the cruise ship lines. Hey, look, I mean, I don't subscribe to large corporations not paying taxes, but what's happened here, let's get rid of the loopholes. It was President Obama who said no to get rid of the loopholes back in December when Speaker Boehner offered that as a way to go forward with our tax policy. It's our tax code that will help to free the American entrepreneurial spirit, and that will help to lift these 2.5 billion people around the world.
Neal,
up
you and I
are
both entrepreneurs, and I don't believe that you could say with a straight face that you ever decided to start a business or end a business because of tax policy. You do it because...
Oh, absolutely. No, Tom, that's just not true. I mean, all sorts of investments that I'm faced with every day has to do with taxes. My taxes are going up hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You said free the entrepreneurial spirit. I'm talking about starting. You said let's help people start businesses. I cannot point to any time in my life where I started or ended a business because of tax policy.
But I would have to disagree, Tom. When the
you think
government,
people aren't starting businesses because they're afraid they're going to end up getting taxed if they're profitable? Seriously?
Tom, what's happening? What's happening with our tax code here in this country? Obama's taking away the financial resources of the most productive part of society, our entrepreneurs and small businesses.
You mean those people who are paying that 1.1%?
Hey, I don't subscribe to that. As I told you, the Republicans, the conservatives wanted to get rid of the loopholes. I mean, are you coming over to the conservative side on loopholes? Let's get rid of them and let's give the entrepreneurs and small businesses a tax break.
Would it be that the Republicans were in charge, were actually, doing more than just giving lip service to it, and the Democrats for that matter? As you well know, back during the Eisenhower administration, about a third, over 35% is my recollection, of all the tax collections in the United States that funded the federal government and all our programs came from corporate sources. Now it's around 11%. Corporations are paying, the American corporations out of the 34 OECD countries are paying next to the bottom in terms of actual taxes paid. We may have a high tax rate, 35%, but the actual tax rate paid is a little over 11%, which is crazy. Where, there's no tax problem in the United States.
Tom, I'm not going to defend that, and there we agree. But where we disagree is the top 10% of earners in America, which are many times our entrepreneurs and small business owners, are paying 70% of the tax burden in this country, and that's not fair either. More than 50% of Americans don't pay taxes at all. How can we have a prosperous country when that's the situation?
And they took 114% of the income. Just the top 1%. In the last 2 years, 114% of all income gains. What that means is that the other 99% actually saw income losses. So, I'm not crying for the fact that they're paying more in taxes. They're making much more in money, Neal. But that's not the
Well,
point. The point is,
let's get rid of the loopholes. Let's agree on that. Let's get rid of the loopholes. And can we agree that we should give to our most productive part of our society a tax break so they can create jobs with whatever tax savings we have?
So you're calling for another loophole.
Instead of flushing it down to Potomac into this.
You're calling for another loophole.
No, I'm calling for.
You want a loophole for creating jobs?
Getting rid of those.
Well, one man's tax break is another man's loophole.
Giving it to our tax.
Come on.
Giving it to our job creators.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, let's give it to our job creators as minimum wage workers whose spending is stimulating the economy. Neal, thanks a lot for being with us.
Hey, Tom, thank you for having me back.
Good talking with you.